Once our surface is created, one of the things that we want to do is we want to inspect the geometry for errors or any potential problems before we continue. And before we do that, I'm going to do a save as, and I'm going to version save this file in case Civil 3D crashes for whatever reason, and it could happen. So I'm going to save this as underscore version 2 and click save. And now I'm going to rotate this view so that I can actually see this in 3D. But before I do that, I'm just going to zoom in and just inspect the geometry here in plan view. So we can see it did the best it could to not cross, triangulate along the same contours. Over here we kind of have a nest, and it did that anyway. But for the most part, it tried to go from one contour to a different elevation contour. And here we can begin to see some of that I was illustrating earlier. A little bit of that nesting going on there. Here, see, it tried the best it could. It did a very good job. Because normally it would probably just shoot across there. So this is actually, it looks pretty clean in my opinion. In flat areas, it's going to do that just because it's flat there. Alright, and then we can begin to see just in plan view, we got some errors here. This is where our contours ended, but of course Civil 3D doesn't know this. So it did some triangulation here and it shot it all the way across here. And we can fix this by adding a boundary, and I'll be covering that a little bit later. So for now, let's just look at this in 3D. I'm going to press the Shift key and the middle mouse button and drag, just so that I can rotate this in 3D view. And we always save our drawing first before doing this, because depending upon the type of video card you have, it may crash. And we can begin to see some of this now, 3D. If you have a difficult time viewing this as you roll your mouse over and it tries to select things, you can right click here in the black area and go to Options and go to Selection and uncheck these two boxes here and then click OK. Then as you roll your mouse over the surface here, it doesn't try to select it. I just click so it's selecting it. And that can help with your video card as well. So I'm just going to rotate this around a little bit more just to kind of look at the geometry. And we see we have some stray triangulation going on down here, which we'll have to fix with our boundary. But this looks pretty good for the most part. See that we have some sort of street potentially running through here. So let's turn on some sort of shaded view that we can see this a little bit better. So I'm going to go up here to View, where it says 2D wireframe. I'm going to click this drop down and choose Shaded. And because we have our contours turned on still, we can't really see that well. So I'm going to hit this drop down and I'm going to turn off the contours. And these are the contours that I use to define the surface. And this way I only see the surface. Now we can only see the surface. We can see that road that runs through here. We can see some of the drainage ways now. And this actually looks pretty good. And these contours were created from 2-meter LiDAR data in ArcGIS. So in ArcGIS we created contours from there, and we brought it into Civil 3D and built this surface from that. So we can kind of see some of the high points here. Looks like we have another street running through here. So this looks pretty good other than our stray triangulation. So I'm going to go ahead and put things back the way they were. So I'm going to go to View, change this back to 2D wireframe. And then I'm going to type Plan so that way I'm back in Plan View. Move this over to here. I'm just going to click Save. So now I'm ready for the next step.